Welcome to our special Father's Day episode of Built with Jason White. I am super excited to bring this message, and this is our second episode of our series. This is the Foundation in 15. So if you didn't get a chance to hear the first one, my whole goal behind this is to keep this under 15 minutes, set some foundation principles. And for this episode, we're doing a special Father's Day edition, and it's going to be a little bit raw, a little bit vulnerable. I'm going to share some insights, some failures. That's the title of this episode, is Failures of a Father. So I'm going to share some information, really as fathers on this. First off, I guess I should start with Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. So I hope this message not only just kind of points out that we all fail as fathers, so give yourself some grace, but also some lessons that we can learn from that. So as fathers, we all have moments that we'd like to do over. Maybe it's losing your temper. Maybe it's missing important, events, or being too busy, saying the wrong thing, or not saying anything at all, right? So we as fathers carry a lot of weight. We carry the weight of knowing that we're not going to get everything right. We carry the weight of knowing that we have not only a wife, but a family, children that rely on us, and that we carry that weight, right, as fathers. And I preach this, that one, yes, it's a heavy weight, but two, you were built for it, so you can do this. And that's the good news is the children don't need a perfect father. They need one that's present. And these are some of the things that I've learned over the years, and I'm going to share a couple stories, hopefully that, I guess a parenting mistake that I would call, and Lord knows I've had lots of them. And my daughters, I've had conversations and talks with them about maybe some of these situations. So again, being a little vulnerable, sharing some of the mistakes that I've made, but one particular story, I'll share two, but one particular story that I can recall that I immediately regretted and kind of lived with that regret for a long time was I coached my oldest daughter, Elena, in softball, and she was great. And I was, if anybody's ever coached their child in a sport, you probably know that you're a little bit harder on your child than you are the rest of the kids on that team. And I coached her for many years in softball, and I was hard on her. And it's not because I just wanted to be mean. And it was misguided, I think, a little bit. But I knew how good she was. And when she wasn't being as good as she could have been, or maybe not doing the things that I know she could do, I was a little bit difficult. And I remember this one particular time that we were taking grounders, and I'm hitting the ball, and 3 or 4 went, under her glove, and I got frustrated because I knew, stay down on the ball, she was great at fielding and always has been. And I think she was probably, I'm going to guess she was 14 at the time. And so I hit a hard one out of frustration and said, stay down on it. And it hit her in the shin. And immediately, and see, I still struggle with this a little bit, but immediately I knew that was not good, right? And she was gracious about it. She, but I apologized to her about how I thought my discipline was for her to be better. But the problem was I didn't know any other way. And so that was one of the failures. And what I learned through that, well, we'll get into a little bit of that, but, and I don't want to talk about perfect dads because, in my opinion, there are no perfect dads. There's one perfect father, but there are no perfect dads here on earth, and we all fall. We all fall short. We all fail. And that's me opening up about one failure that I made, and there was so many of them. I remember another time with my middle child. She was a lot like me when I was young, and a little bit difficult to deal with, and I lost my cool with her. And there was a time when I reacted in anger, and I grabbed her and I spoke very firmly to her. And so we talked about it. If you listen to a past episode with Bud, we talked about being a lion and a lamb, and being a lion for your family, but being a lamb with your family. And in that moment, both of those moments, I was a lion when I needed to be a lamb. So the grace that I talk about is not only the grace that we get from God, but you also have to give yourself some grace in those moments, and learn from them. So point number one is every father falls short. Every father fails, and I'm no different. And again, my hope is just to share with you something that will help you, one, realize that we all fail and we all fall short, but two, that we can grow from that. So, every great, you think about the great men in the Bible, the great fathers in the Bible. David failed his children, Noah failed after the flood. Jacob created division in his family. The Bible is a collection of perfect fathers. So if you're a faith guy, you can take a look at that. Those stories are meant to serve a purpose, and we can take a look at those. So every father falls short. And so next I want to talk about point number 2 is kind of the failure that most fathers make. And we've talked about this in the past on a podcast, but a lot of fathers, and I was kind of felt like my father was this way when I was growing up, is we believe that, like, if we provide for our family, we're the provider. As long as we provide, I've done my job. Whereas that is part of the equation as a father, is to provide, but there's a lot more that goes into it. So I want to squash that right now. If you out there and you think, if I provide, then I've done my job, then that is a misconception, and we need to change that mindset, because there's more to being a father than just being a provider. There's also about being present, being a protector, being the pastor. Like, there are things about being a father that's more than just being a provider. Provision matters. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it doesn't, but children remember presence. They remember the encouragement, conversations, and they remember that time more than they remember possessions. And I apologize. This one's getting me. I'm getting choked up here because it's bringing back a lot of memories of things that I wish I would have done differently, right? So, but years from now, the kids aren't going to remember the overtime shifts. They're not going to remember that extra house I sold. They're not going to remember the bigger paycheck. They'll remember when I showed up and when I listened and when I was available to them. I've heard it so many times, but children really do speak this way. How they spell love? It's T-I-M-E, time. That's how children spell love. So, just a reflection on that is, am I giving my family my best or just what's left? And for many, many, many years, I was giving them what was left of me instead of giving them my best. And over the years, and I still fall short, but I've tried to shift that and be hyper focused on trying to give them my best. But point number 3, and I think this is the important part, and this is kind of what I'm doing here today too, is the power of owning your mistakes. And I think one of the strongest things that I said to my daughters, and that a father can say to their children, is, I was wrong. I think that's one of the most powerful things that a father can say, and I think that starts with that really starts the process of healing a wound that was created based on a failure that a father made. Many fathers have never heard. I've never heard that from my dad. I don't think my dad ever once told me he was wrong. And I'm going to guess that a lot of us out there listening to this, probably the same thing. They've never heard that. Now, some of us may have had that exceptional dad that was willing to admit when he was wrong. But I want to encourage you to become that dad, that father, and go. I don't care if it's happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it is. If you have something that you've thought about that you're like, I was wrong there, go back to your child and have a conversation and let them know that you were wrong and that you apologize, and to ask for a little bit of that grace and that forgiveness, because it's needed. And you'll be surprised at the healing moment that creates, and how you can take away a wound that's been sitting there and festering in your child. Believe it or not, they're hidden. So apologizing, that doesn't weaken authority. If anything, it strengthens trust, I believe. So, and I do believe that when fathers own their mistakes, children learn from that. They learn humility, they learn grace, they learn accountability, and forgiveness. And all of those things are the things that we're trying to instill in our children, I would assume, but we don't really know how to do that. But you'll be surprised that by being able to humble yourself and actually take that step, how it's a great teaching moment for our children. And again, I just reiterate that it's not about children needing a father that never fails. What they need is a father who knows what to do when he does fail. So a quick challenge, and then I'll wrap it up here on this awesome Father's Day. Again, happy Father's Day. But just ask yourself, where have I fallen short? What mistakes have I made? And it's okay. If you find a couple, they're there. We all had them. It's not a big deal. But think, what conversation do I need to have about this? And I'm going to leave here. I've had the conversation before with my daughters, but I'm going to leave here, and I want to revisit that conversation with a little more humility, a little more grace, and really own up on that. But and how can I be more present this week? It's Father's Day. A lot of times we take the time to be, hey, I just want to eat. I want to sit home, maybe go golfing, whatever. But then after that wraps up, how can I be more present this week? What can I do differently? Can I walk in the door and set that phone down off to the counter and say, I'm going to give my first 10 minutes to my wife and children when I walk in that door, and I want no interruptions. I want that first 10 minutes to be with my wife and children, and kind of give that to them. So, have that conversation, make the call. Like I said, if it's been years, it doesn't matter. It's better to do it now. So go ahead and say, I'm sorry. Spend that intentional time with your children. So in closing, I just think that one of the strongest things that a father can say is, I've got this. And I say that you were built for this. You were wrong. We fail. Let's own it and let's grow from it. Let's move forward. Let's be the best fathers we can be starting today. So I appreciate you. Happy Father's Day. And as always,